a lot of people are expecting, believe it or not, the Bears to win their division with a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams. I'll throw out a guy that I really like outside of a quarterback, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. Boy, you want to talk about a guy who really fell into the right spot. Coming in, we know who his daddy was. At least if you're my age, you know who his daddy was. And so he's coming in. He knows how the NFL works. He's got that professionalism. Now he's in a system. Kyler Murray loves to stretch the field. That's what this young man does extremely well. Best wide receiver, arguably, coming out of this year's draft. A lot of weapons around him. Boy, if there was a quarterback, if there was an offensive rookie of the year outside of a quarterback that I would put money on, I'll tell you, it's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Is the fact that you just expect the Cardinals to score more and be better offensively separate Harrison versus neighbors?
When Kyler Murray came back, I want to say it was week 10 last year, Tyler, top 3 or top 5 offense in the NFL. Like, I think we forget. Murray's a very good quarterback, and I think both these skill sets are going to do wonderful things.
Yeah, I got no problem with Marvin Harrison Jr. if you think we can sneak someone besides a quarterback in for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Let's move now to the quarterback in the NFL. That, of course, is Patrick Mahomes. He and the Chiefs starters played the first half in their preseason tilt against the Lions this weekend. His behind-the-back pass, though, was the highlight of the game and the preseason. He told us he's been working on it. He showed us in practice. Now he's doing it in games. 15 and 87 up to their old tricks. Mahomes had a bit of a down year statistically last season. It didn't matter as far as winning the Super Bowl, but the markets expect him to bounce back. Look at this. Passing prop of 4,300.5, the highest of any QB at ESPN BET by more than 200 yards. He is way up there. 32.5 TDs as well, a huge number. I like Mahomes if you're a Chiefs fan, if you're a believer that Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, is going to prove it again this year, bet him to win the MVP right now. I know he's the favorite, but you're not going to get 5-1 plus 550, whatever the odds are right now for him to win MVP come October and November when the Chiefs are 7-1, 6-1, look like the best team in the NFL. Maybe you can wait and see if they lose their opener to Baltimore and drop to 0-1, and Lamar has a great game. Maybe that changes the odds a little bit, and you can get something better than 5-1. But outside of that, I think now is the time. Early in the season is the time to pounce on Mahomes, pulling off yet another MVP trophy, because if he does what I think he's going to do this season, this price ain't going to last for a while.
Sure, Tyler. Just go with the favorite.
I mean, I don't want to, but he's Patrick Mahomes.
Boring. Listen, there's some great, listen. Watch out for this Green Bay Packers team. Love me some Jordan Love this season, right? You could get him 14-1. Lamar Jackson right now at 16-1 after that debacle of a playoff game. You don't think he's coming into this season with a chip on his shoulder, yet again trying to prove something? And then I could get Lamar Jackson at 16-1, and I'll go even further down. How about Kirk Cousins at 35-1, okay? Listen, Atlanta's going to be something. Atlanta's going to be something. And now they just spent this week improving their defense, bringing in Judon, bringing in Simmons. Watch out. Atlanta's going to win their division. If Kirk Cousins can stay healthy, 35-1, Tyler. That's better. I like that better than going with the favorite Patrick Mahomes.
I like that. Tyler and Anita back with you for our latest installment of Bet It or Forget It. You know the rules, Anita. I'm going to throw out a prop, and you tell me if you bet it, which way you go, or if you want to forget it altogether. And we saw Jalen Hurts and the Eagles on that little M bump there, so why not start with the Philly QB? His rushing TD prop this year is 9.5 scores. Bet it or forget it. I'm going to bet it, and I'm going to bet the over. If you're scared, say you're scared. Don't be scared because Saquon Barkley is in that backfield, Tyler. Don't be scared because they've got a new offensive coordinator. This dude rushed for 15 last year. Last 3 years, he's rushed for 38 touchdowns. I know Kelsey. I know no tush push. Well, we don't know how effective it's going to be, but I still see him rushing for at least 10 to 12, Tyler. Okay? Yeah, I hear you, but I'm a little scared, so I'm going to forget it. The introduction of Saquon Barkley into that backfield, who should be more efficient, converting opportunities near the goal line. DeAndre Swift was not a season ago. And the move from Jason Kelsey to Cam Jurgens, even though Jurgens was basically handpicked by Kelsey to be his successor coming out of Nebraska, that is a big piece in the middle of that tush-push. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if he's at 10 or 12 rushing TDs, but I'm going to forget it. There's other opportunities out there. Not quite the conviction I have with that NFC East QB. Let's move to another down in Big D, Anita, Dak Prescott. His prop for interceptions, the same number, 9.5. Bet it or forget it.
I'm going to bet it, and this might surprise you because you know I'm all about the overs, Tyler, but I'm going under here. I'm going to bet the under. 8 seasons, only 74 interceptions. We look back to that 2022 year where he tossed 15 interceptions. We can't get that out of our head. Well, you need to. You know why? Only 9 interceptions last year, playing in 5 more games than 2022. 70% completion percentage. Okay, this is his 2nd year in McCarthy's offensive system. And last I checked, he hasn't signed that extension yet, right, Tyler? right? So you know what? Dude's going to have to ball out because he wants those Benjamins, baby!
All right, I'm going to bet this, but I'm on the other side. I will bet it and go over, and it's not because I'm thinking about that 2022 season. It's because when you look back at last year, how many fourth quarters did the Cowboys play with a big lead because their defense scored touchdowns, because they were up so big? That took away opportunities for him to throw the football. I think they're going to be in closer games, deeper into ball games. I think that's going to juice or boost the pass attempts. And the more time you put the ball in the air, the more times you put the ball in harm's way. I think the Cowboys are going to take a step back this year, and I think at least 10 picks coming off the right arm of Dak Prescott. So we disagree there. Okay. How about C.J. Stroud? This is a polarizing sophomore QB in Houston. Awesome rookie campaign. Bet it or forget it, 4,050 passing yards.
I am going over, and I am running to that window, Tyler. I am not walking. I see this dude tossing at least 4,500. He went over this in his rookie year. Now you're telling me they add Stephon Diggs, right, who stretches the field. You know they're gonna push the ball down the field. He's got that big arm, and you add Joe Mixon, who is a running back who performs extremely well in the passing game. We saw what he was able to do with Joe Burrow. I think they're going to be uber aggressive. I'm going to bet this, and I'm going to bet the over.
Here I agree with you. I think the biggest threat to him is injury. If he misses time, misses ball games, that would be an issue. But if he plays 15, 16, 17 games, with what he did as a rookie, I think it's reasonable to expect him to grow or build upon that. Adding a weapon like Stephon Diggs, a good line, a good environment where he gets to play 8-9 games inside the dome, a lot of warm weather games in the AFC South. So I'm with you here. I think C.J. Stroud in for a much larger number than 4,051 passing yards. All right, our final QB, Aaron Rodgers. Look at that hefty line for touchdown passes, 26.5. We haven't seen him in 2 years outside of those 4 snaps last season. Bet it or forget it.
I'm going to bet it, but I'm going to bet the under here, okay? And I know I'm going to be a negative Nelly. Jets fans, don't hate me. But here's my biggest thing. Is he going to stay healthy, Tyler?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Dude's going to be 41 in December, okay, coming off that Achilles. Granted, yes, the Jets did improve their offensive line, but they don't have a lot of depth at that offensive line. If he can't stay healthy, he doesn't hit this number. So I am betting, and again, it sounds very morbid, but I'm betting because I have huge concerns that Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to stay healthy for 17 games.
It's fair. You wouldn't be the only one concerned about that. This is one I'll forget as well because it's hard for me to handicap how healthy he will be. I think if he is healthy for the entire season, he does go over this. I think we get close to 28, 30 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson is a superstar in the making if this guy is healthy, and we'll see what Mike Williams adds. But there's weapons for him to throw to. The big concern is the health, and since I don't have a good feel one way or the other, I'll just forget it. Looks like the only things I'm playing, at least. Anita's going to play them all. You know
I'll play it all. You know me.
On C.J. Stroud and Dak Prescott. Excellent stuff. This is going to be a fun 10 minutes or so. Michael, welcome.
Welcome. It's going to be a long night, a long week. We have a lot of content we'll be making together, and we'll see how it goes.
Fantasy Football Marathon with all of our friends here coming up. But before we get you to that, Mike, you're joining us here because we want to ask you about some of your projections and how they help you or guide you if you are interested in season-long props. How much, first and foremost, do your projections impact how you look at betting markets?
I mean, they're the basis for it. I start with the projections, compare to the markets, and kind of go from there, see if they kind of make sense, and then I dive in. I say, okay, there's a big gap between the line and the projection. Does this check out? Does it make sense? And if it does, after doing additional research, I'm going to jump on it.
All right, well, let's talk names then. Starting at quarterback, is there a quarterback that your model might be higher on than most?
Yeah, I do. I like Joe Burrow. I'm going to buy on Joe Burrow. There's a lot of good options at quarterback this season in fantasy, but Burrow is the guy that has jumped out to me as a value. As you know, he's fallen late in drafts. So you can usually have him in about the 8th round of our 10-team mock drafts we did together. Look, 2 years ago, he was QB4 in fantasy points. He was fantastic, did a lot with his legs. Last year, after that slow start, he got heated up for about a month there. He was QB4 again. And Tyler, he didn't do anything with his legs last season. So if he's healthier this year and runs a bit, it's still, at the end of the day, a Zach Taylor offense are going to be throwing the ball plenty, one of the pass-heaviest offenses in the NFL. So he's a guy I want.
Yeah, and if he is healthy, that 4,025 passing yards, you have to imagine most people would lean towards the over if they think he is going to be healthy. Sounds like you would too, if, again, he is healthy. What about a quarterback on the other end of the spectrum? Maybe your model a little bit lower on.
Yeah, look. Tua Tagovailoa is a player that's very, you're hot or cold. But here's the thing, whether you think he's great or not overrated, whatever it is, Tyler, he is not a good fantasy quarterback. He's a terrible fantasy quarterback. Came out hot last season. Look, he was terrific out of the gate, but the wheels kind of fell off for him. He had 0 weekly fantasy finishes, better than 9th after week 6. That's October. The whole rest of the season, 0 finishes better than 9th. He actually led the NFL in passing yards last season, 5th in passing touchdowns, 20th in fantasy points per game. The production just really drops off the cliff once the temperature starts to drop. So if you do draft him and he helps you for about a month,
maybe think about trading him.
Get rid of him, sell high.
And listen, from a fantasy perspective, I reluctantly agree with you here completely. Even if he goes over these marks here, these season-long props, which he did last year, he adds literally 0 running the football, and that is a problem in today's game where you have the Josh Allens, the Hurtses, maybe the Anthony Richardsons, Caleb Williams, and James Daniels after that.
So I had all that other stuff to pick apart. I didn't even get to the rushing part. That's the key.
That's a huge thing for him. So even if he does go over these season-long props, from a fantasy perspective, maybe not as good in that regard. All right, let's take a look at some wide receivers with the highest receiving yardage props out there. Of course, Tyreek Hill, Tua's top target. Yeah. Pacing the way with 3 other guys at 1,300.5 receiving yards. CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown. Justin Jefferson, because of the quarterback dip, is sitting at 1,275.5. So, Mike, which of these are you least confident in this year?
Well, as one of our many, many resident Eagles fans, this one hurts, but I think it is A.J. Brown, okay?
Really?
So, look, he went over this each of the last 2 seasons, but he did not miss a single game, and that is really important as it pertains to props. He's one of 8 receivers, just 8, who played in every game over the last 2 seasons. It's just so hard to stay healthy. Can he do it a 3rd year in a row? Tyler, if he does, then he'll probably get there. If he doesn't, probably going to fall short. In fact, last season, only 7 receivers cleared 1,300 receiving yards. All of them played at least 16 games. Also, new play caller here with Kellen Moore. Right. So that could change things in terms of how he is utilized. So a lot of reasons to lean under here. It's going to be tough to do it again.
All right, I hear you say it's hard to stay healthy, and that's the case for everyone. But does your model, do your projections account for guys like CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase being in contract disputes? They're not with their teams during training camp. Is that something that factors in?
That could early in the season, but I don't think it really affects a lot. I mean, the cream rises, right? I mean, we saw it with CeeDee Lamb last year. He had a month where he did very little. It looked like him and Dak were like bust in fantasy, and then CeeDee Lamb. I mean, it is unreal what he did after the week 5, after the week 6 bye.
You needed him to win.
Unreal. So I'm not super worried about it because those guys, once they're out there for a game or 2, they're going to be superstars.
All right. Well, let's go to the running back position. We'll conduct the exact same exercise here. Take a look at some of the names with the highest rushing props this season. Christian McCaffrey, surprise, surprise, pacing the way. 4 other backs above 1,000. You got Bijan right at $1,000. Breece Hall and Jonathan Taylor at 1,025, and the newest Eagles, Saquon Barkley at 1,050.5. Which of these RBs are you least confident in?
Well, I can't pick another Eagle, can I?
Why not?
I'm going to. It's Saquon Barkley. It is Saquon Barkley. This one hurts me, but I think it is him. Look, he's gotten to this mark 2 times in his career. It's the only 2 seasons he played 16-plus games, and it's hard to bet on 16-plus games for any running back. It's just a hard mark. It's just a hard position to play for and stay healthy throughout the entire season. Look, last year, 8th in the NFL in carries. He had 962 rushing yards, well below this line. He's been average or below average in rushing efficiency for 3 straight seasons. And of course, the Eagles, you think of them as a run-heavy team because of Jalen Hurts. 23rd in running back carries last season. Now, that might go up a little bit, but Hurts is still going to steal a lot of carries.
Well, I'm curious here because you're kind of a little down on A.J. Brown, kind of a little down on Saquon. Are you down on the Eagles this year? Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, I think, hate to say this, but Dallas probably the favorite in that division. I think they're the more well-rounded team despite not kind of a quiet offseason. Eagles should still be a playoff team. Just got to keep working on that defense.
All right.
I think that's the key.
It doesn't necessarily mean just because you think they're going under that they're going to be a bad team. I was just curious.
Maybe it's because they're running a lot with other guys, working other guys in, or they're resting these guys late in games. That's me with my fan hat on.
Is there a wide receiver out there with a prop that you like in a long shot way?
Yeah, you know what? This guy is lucky I'm coming back to the well because it hurt me in all of my fantasy drafts last season. Garrett Wilson. I'm going to say Garrett Wilson to lead the NFL in touchdown receptions this season. He is 14-1, Tyler. The reason is, of course, the same reason we liked him last year. Aaron Rodgers should be under center. Aaron Rodgers has the same number of passing touchdowns as the Jets have over the last 2 seasons. 26 each. So that shows you, of course, he missed all last season, which is the important nugget there. But you see this graphic on the screen. Wilson is 4th among receivers in targets since he was drafted. He has 7 touchdowns during that span. The rest of the top 10 averaging 17 touchdowns during that span. That is unreal and shows you really the discrepancy from going from a guy like Aaron Rodgers or a top-end quarterback to a very poor, really the league worst quarterback situation. So I think Wilson at 14-1 has a shot to get there.
I'm with you, but I have to disagree with you just a little bit because you are Mike the Machine Clay. I would rather bet on Garrett Wilson to lead the league in receiving yards because touchdown can kind of be a little bit of luck. We know he's going to get fed targets from Aaron Rodgers, and if those targets are coming from Rodgers, those should be efficient. So I could see a 1,700 receiving yard season from Garrett Wilson. Just, again, if Rodgers is healthy, that dude's going to ball.
Sorry, you got to lean into the variance a little there at 14-1.
I lied. I wasn't done because I want to ask about a long shot in the running back prop market. Is there a name out there that, you think you're going to ruffle some feathers with this one, perhaps?
No, I like it. I think you're going to like it, too. How about this one? Way down at the bottom of the list of this category of to lead the NFL in rushing yards is Najee Harris at 75-1. 75-1. Check this out. Since he's entered the NFL, he is 2nd in carries and 4th in rushing yards. Arthur Smith, who is now his play caller, his Atlanta teams over the last two seasons, ranked 1st in running back carries and 1st in running back rushing yards. Harris was quietly okay last season, one of the best in the business after initial contact. He's been top 6 in carries every season, and it's a contract year. So maybe this is the year. He's playing for that big contract, so going into year 4. So I like this one.
You followed the assignment. 75-1 is a huge long shot. But again, just because you're Mike, I got to slightly disagree. What about 60-1 to lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns? Because we know he's not necessarily explosive, but if Arthur Smith has the ball near the goal line, 22 is probably going to get it. Much like Raheem Mostert last year at a 40-1, Jamal Williams. The Jamal Williams role, I can see that for him. 17 rushing touchdowns for Detroit a few years ago. Probably only ran for like 800-900 yards. Okay, 75-1 for rushing yards, 60-1 for rushing TDs. Najee Harris. Now, that's a long shot, my friend. Well done there. Tyler and Anita back with you with our latest installment of Public Plays. Anita, we are going to take a look at the most popular over bets in the season-long prop market. And if you didn't get the hint from our end bump there, Josh Allen, no quarterback, has more bets on his season going over its passing yardage number than the Buffalo Bills QB, 3,750.5, which seems kind of small to me, so I understand why he's so popular with the public. Do you agree with them?
Absolutely. In fact, when I saw this number, Tyler, we're sitting in our cubicle and I asked our producers, wait a minute, is this number right? Like somebody pinch me? Yeah, I'm on the over here. And I understand why it's so low. No Stephon Diggs. Well, no worry, right? Listen, his offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, back. The two of them, boy, they like to stretch the field. You've got Shakir. You got Coleman. A lot of people like him as a fantasy football. Little secret weapon there you might be drafting in our mock draft tomorrow night. Kincaid, Knox, they play a lot of 12 personnel. Listen, he's gone over this the last 4 years. Just because Stephon Diggs is not there doesn't mean that he's not going to pass for at least 4,000. I love the over here. I can't believe this number.
Yeah, again, not surprised that it is so popular with the public because I think when you look at what Josh Allen has done and see this number, you're going, this doesn't make any sense to me. So another big year for Josh Allen wouldn't surprise me at all. Let's go to the running back position where it is new Philadelphia Eagles Saquon Barkley getting more over bets than any running back in the league this year. 1,050.5. What do you make of the public coming in hot on this new Eagle?
Fly, Eagle, fly, or run, Eagle, run. I'm all over the over here. Listen, I know Saquon Barkley extremely well, right? I live where he used to play, at least one of your 7-irons. Okay, the dude can ball. Howie Roseman would not have hired all those Brinks trucks, Tyler, and paid him all that money if they're not going to feed Saquon Barkley. I love the over here, better offensive line, and also I've spoken to a few people there in Philadelphia. This dude's got a chip on his shoulder. He's coming in. He feels he's got a lot to prove. If you watch that Hard Knocks with the Giants, I wouldn't be surprised he puts up 300 yards in both games against the Giants. That's the chip that he has on his shoulder, Tyler.
Great offensive line, maybe the best he's played with in his entire career, and the fact that Jalen Hurts is a weapon as well in that backfield could open up some lanes that he has not been used to seeing while he was wearing that big blue uniform. Let's stay at MetLife Stadium, but turn to the other team in green there. At the wide receiver position, it is Garrett Wilson getting the most over bets for his receiving yardage prop this season. Anita, your thoughts on the public loving Wilson?
So I get it.
Okay.
And I would go to the window, and I like the over as well. Okay. But a few minutes ago we were talking about Aaron Rodgers, and I'm telling you, I'm worried that he's 41, he's going to get injured. Backup quarterback's Tyrod Taylor. And here's the thing. If this dude can get 1,000 receiving yards with Zach Wilson, who shouldn't even be employed in the NFL, he sure could get over 1,000, whatever this number is, with Aaron Rodgers and or Tyrod Taylor. So that's a big reason why.
Yeah, I think the public is on the right side here. I would bet the over as well, with comfort, with confidence. Again, a big part or variable of whether or not he comes through with this is going to be Aaron Rodgers' health, not to mention his own, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if Rodgers is healthy the entire season. This guy leads the entire National Football League in receiving yards. Ooh. He could have that Devontae Adams type season when Devontae was in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. That's the type of connection I've seen with them in practice in the preseason a year ago. And there's not much else for target competition outside of Wilson. So of all the public plays we've shown, this is the one where I am most with the public. We do it for the people.